Hello and welcome to Sunday Night Live. It's the United Stand. I've got Zara, Joey and Callum on the show. Loads to get through tonight. I'm sure there's a lot you want to say. We did lose to West Brom. I've done the live reaction to that. We will touch on little bits, but there's things like Jose Mourinho being snubbed. What's our best 11? How bad is the situation with Louis van Gaal? What do you think of Louis van Gaal? There's so much to get on with. A few of you have been asking me, though, now Matt has been sent off. Is that the chance for Pereira? You've got more chance of John Terry winning a spelling test. Manchester United, for me, at the moment, is a balance sheet. It's not a football club. It's all right beating Arsenal and Liverpool, but if you're losing to the likes of Norwich and Bournemouth and West Brom, what's the point? It's 3 points all the same. But let's fly into it first. First of all, sort of touching on the West Brom game, but I want to get into some bigger comments than that. Do get comments in. We'll hit on those as well. Joey, first of all, Juan Mata, red card. Obviously, West Brom today. Louis van Gaal predictably comes out and throws him under the bus, blames him, even though 2 hours before Liverpool have just come from behind with 10 men. So Louis van Gaal's excuse for today, as per usual, not his fault, Juan Mata's fault, and we lost because we had 10 men. Your thoughts?
No, I can't really buy into that from him. I think looking at the other two red cards this weekend, let's look at those situations real quick. One of them's a North London derby, probably the most important one ever. So you understand they go down to 10 men. You understand there's going to be some fight. Then you have Liverpool, who have a manager on the sidelines who gets up, who motivates his players, who stands by his players, really, really shows emotion on the touchline. And then you have Louis van Gaal. So for him to come out and blame Juan Mata is kind of, for me, it's no good. I think as a manager, you're supposed to take the brunt of the responsibility. I think you should be coming out blaming yourself for the loss. If you can't motivate your players, when you're in the thick of a race for the top four for the Champions League, you're in 2 cup competitions, then you really need to be looking in the mirror. Prior to Juan Mata getting sent off, I think he got sent off around the 27th minute. There wasn't much created, and the performance had been. I understand it's the beginning of the game, but the performance had been very flat up until then. So to come out and completely blame Juan Mata is pretty shocking, in my opinion. And I think he needs to be looking in the mirror at his team selection, because I think, when he made that selection, he had already given up the 3 points.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that, Joe. I'm sure there'll be stuff we will disagree on as the show goes on, especially the best Man United 11 and Jose Mourinho. But Callum, we'll come to you. We'll save Zara till last. I can't reveal what we were recording yesterday. Actually, I was going to ridicule you then, Zara. But Callum's not been on the show for a while. He's been doing this stuff in the day for, which is fantastic. By all means, the Mata thing, it sort of strikes me. But Alex said this. He was going to be on the show tonight. Congratulations to Alex on the birth of his first child. I think he might be on the comments section if you're watching us live. But apparently, Louis van Gaal was going to drop Daley Blind. That for me was, I said it in my reaction, that was the reason we lost today. West Brom didn't have that many chances. A cross came in, and we gave Rondon the freedom of West Brom, I think, wherever that is. I'm from the Midlands, and he had a touch, and he put it away. That was the blame. Louis van Gaal.
I think that Louis van Gaal was definitely to blame. I saw it from the outset that the starting 11 wasn't strong. Not that it wasn't strong, but it kind of gave off a big hint that it was a case of if you're a first team player, then you're guaranteed football. When I think Louis van Gaal is completely to blame. Daley Blind, he's a makeshift centre back. He's a ball playing centre back. We can't really expect him to. Well, I don't know. He's played well this season at defence, but I don't think he's a natural centre back. So criticising Blind and saying that Blind's being blamed for it is stupid. But on the defeat, it was it was boring and predictable. It was United again. With Louis van Gaal's blaming Mata, but in truth, again, we only have one shot on target throughout 90 minutes. That's poor, boring, and predictable in itself. I don't think it was a satisfiable performance again. I don't know. I think that Louis van Gaal is to blame. I don't think Mata's to blame. Mata did something stupid. He lost his head, lost his cool. But I think Louis van Gaal's ultimately to blame.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the comments here now. Ricky Singh says Louis van Gaal in all day. Players to blame. Fair play, Ricky, for actually being consistent. And most of your mates who were Louis van Gaal in last week will be with us again. Louis van Gaal out. Dwarfy's Louis van Gaal in. Mark, do you think United will win the Europa League now that top four is now gone? No, I think teams like Dortmund and the Spanish lot are far better than the crap you get in the Premier League, so that's a big no to that. Kaz257, Mark, you need to go on MUTV and tell Paddy and Stuart. They're on the Man United payroll, they're not going to say anything negative, are they? Carrick fan, Van Gaal said Blind was tired, so why didn't you play Carrick in defence? Good point. West Brom did nothing. Mark, what's the difference? Lou Van Gaal and a chef who keeps dropping his pancakes. They are both useful tossers. Good one. Zara, I've got this up on Twitter at the moment going up. Where's the Louis Van Gaal in bandwagon gone? I think it's a very good point. It hurts being a Manchester United fan. It definitely hurts being a Manchester United fan. I don't know whether it hurts Louis Van Gaal and it hurts the players as much, but a lot of people who are Louis Van Gaal in, and to be fair play, they did comment on my after-match reaction. They were saying, oh, it's not Louis Van Gaal's fault, it's the players, they're not doing what he's told them to do. Well, for me, that's an idiotic comment, and I'm sorry, but it is. We say it how it is here, because he's the manager. If they're not doing the job, he's not a good enough manager. But what have you got to say, Zara? I don't know. Louis Van Gaal in, I presume you Louis Van Gaal out, but a lot of people this last couple of weeks have been slating the people who've been Louis Van Gaal out. What do you want to say to them? You are a girl, so you'll probably get away with it.
I just want to say that whoever is thinking that LVG should be in is ridiculous. I mean, they seriously need to get the head testing, because the fact of the matter is that why did he have to make so many changes to a team that had been doing pretty well going through these past few matches? I mean, we beat Arsenal, fair enough, they weren't having a good game and everything, but with the way we've been in the past, I mean, I thought we've been doing pretty well. There was some light at the end of the tunnel. And then LVG decided, oh, let's go and play Blind, for example. I don't think Blind's bad. I think that, I thought he was the reason for that goal. That's what I think personally anyway. And I just think that earlier in the week, LVG said that he was going to rest him. I think he just should have, LVG should have just went balls to walls and just rested him. Why did he have to change his mind? All he's trying to do is please fans, but whilst he's attempting to please fans, is just making them hate him even more, because he's just trying to wreck what we've got. We finally all thought, oh, maybe, just maybe, we might get top four. But now, I just think we're going to turn into Liverpool if it carries on. I mean, Liverpool are one below us. We're just going to turn into Liverpool, and no one wants that. Not even Man City fans will never want to be Liverpool. No one in the Premier League, fans, will ever want to be Liverpool, and that's who we're going to be. And I think anyone who says LVG in now, they're just not a Manchester United fan, because they're not seeing the whole entire picture. They're just stuck on one vocal point. I believe it's LVG's fault, yeah. I also believe it's the players' fault, because the players should know Man United Essex. They should know that we want this more than anything. We're not just here just because we want money. We're here to play on the pitch and do what we can for these fans that keep coming to every single match, and the ones that keep watching it on TV if they can't go to the match. That's who they should be doing it for, and that should be their motivation. We shouldn't have this situation where we're losing today and Juan Mata just swans off. It should just come naturally to them, the desire to win.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Van Gaal should have been sacked way before we took our Christmas decorations down. It was the obvious decision to make. I do wonder about some fans, Joey, because I think we're falling into this trap of, it is, Manchester United are a massive business. Their marketing and Twitter and everything like that, I don't think they do enough. I think they could really, really go to town on convincing fans if they actually put some more effort into it. They put a little bit of effort into it, but the reality is we're not. What are we accepting as United fans? I mean, I know a lot of us don't on here, but you only need to do a little bit of research to realise that it's absolutely abysmal on every level where we are. We're not. There used to be a few years ago a team, still exists, called Crewe Alexander. I don't think Dario Gravy's the manager anymore, but for years and years he brought through the youth, and they had a great reputation in English football, even though I think they were in Division 2. Brought through the likes of David Platt, loads of players. For the last 2 weeks I've been hearing the positives. The only positive they can throw at Louis Van Gaal is, oh, he's bringing through the youth. Look at Rashford, look at Fosu Mensah. Yeah, he signed Fosu Mensah, I'll give him that. But we're Manchester United. We cannot, youth is massive to us, but it cannot be the be-all and end-all. That cannot be the reason to let a failure carry on in the job. Sir Alex Ferguson was the perfect mix, but other managers have done better than that. I don't expect Sir Alex Ferguson results from a Manchester United manager from now. He was a one-off. But however way you play it, we are at least 10 points off where Manchester United should be. I'm not saying we should be running away with the league, but we should definitely be going for it. But, I mean, can you find any explanation? Because there are a lot of fans out there who are still very much Louis van Gaal in, and I don't understand it.
Honestly, I have no words for that. I mean, look, there's one thing to be patient, and I mean, I wasn't, calling for the manager until Christmas. Even early July, it was like, early January, excuse me. It took me, but I've been consistent with it now. He does have to go. I don't want to touch on your point about the perfect mixture of youth. If you look at this squad, look at it right now, without the youth, it's very, 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 very average. And even more so, you have a manager who's not even getting the best out of his players. There's one world-class player for me in the squad. There's some very good players. Chris Smalling's a very good player. Morgan Starlin was a very good player until he came under LVG's managerial skills. Memphis Depay, good player. But I just think that the squad lacks that quality, that top-notch quality. And I think when you have players like that, similar to when Cantona came in, other players around them start punching above their weight and performing. You do have to have a perfect mixture. It's okay to want youth players in this club. That's what it's about. But no club is just solely built on youth. And if you look at the transfer policy over the last few years, it's been more about trying to find and chase Neymar. There's no way in hell you're ever going to sign Neymar. And the money they're talking to sign him is insane. Gareth Bale, another one. He doesn't want to come here. He wanted to go to Real Madrid. That was his dream. So I think that in the summertime, under Ed Woodward, they just spend too much time trying to attract these names that aren't achievable. So I think you look at it like that. I agree that they could do a lot more to maximize the potential of Manchester United. You look at some other clubs' YouTube channels, and they give you a real sense of in-depth things with their club that we don't have. But as far as the Louis van Gaal in crowd, they're a very, very, very small minority. So I mean, my only guess is they would be just trying to save face and stay consistent. Well done to them, but it's kind of insane if you ask me.
Well, I've always, I don't mind saying this, don't mind saying what I think, and I don't believe, I've had people tweet me and comment to me before to say, win, lose or draw, support your club. I think it's crap. I don't think you should stand back and accept mediocrity or failure. I think support your club and demand what your club should be. It's not as good. It doesn't sound as good, but it should definitely be that. But Leo Riley says Pereira is the best player in the academy and he's benched every week. Been saying it for a long, long time. He is. There's something going on wrong there. A lot of people will back Van Gaal because of his youth history and everything like that. I said it a couple of weeks ago. Rashford's only playing because Will Keane's injured, who is crap, and there's nobody else. That's why Rashford's playing. Rashford wasn't even involved hardly at all before then. Comes in, does well. I don't believe in his youth policy at all. And if I did, Pereira is the best player. Watched the US tour last year. He was the best player in the whole first team. Doesn't get a game. Just doesn't get a game. But the Pirate Pete show, he comments on our videos quite a lot, Callum. And he asked tonight if we could cover this thing about Van Gaal, about him well, we're a Manchester United fan channel, so we've got to talk about ourselves. But he was saying in general, do you think the big teams have misread the smaller teams this year? Because obviously you've got Leicester up there and everything like that. But more specific to Manchester United, I think it feeds into a good point, is that, as I said at the start, you can beat Arsenal and Liverpool, and I think we will beat Liverpool, which we'll touch on in a minute, and we will be talking about the Mourinho rumours. But he consistently, especially away from home, struggles against the lesser sides. And I've always said he just doesn't understand the Premier League. I don't know what your interpretation of that is, why I could see this West Brom result. I thought we'd draw, to be fair, but I could see it coming a mile
off. I don't think that's the truth. I mean, we've seen it with Sir Alex Ferguson, and you hear things about how he made every game feel like a Champions League final, no matter what or no matter who they were playing. And to say the mentality is, oh, because it's a small club, and oh, because we underestimated them. You shouldn't underestimate anyone. I mean, any team in the Premier League can beat any team. It's simple as that. I mean, you've got Leicester at the top, you've got Tottenham at the top. Any team can beat any team, and that's how it works in the Premier League nowadays. I think that Louis van Gaal is always looking to sort of set his bases, look for an excuse, find a way out. I mean, he's used Mata today, he's used Murphy's Law in the past. I don't think that he can keep using excuses of, oh, because it's a small team and we underestimated them. You need to be prepared for every game, no matter who you're playing, whether it's Midtjylland or Barcelona. You need to be prepared, and they have to be the same level. You have to keep the same expectation, the same mentality going into each game of we're going to win, we're going to go forward, we're going to attack. But that doesn't work. I mean, Van Gaal's using the excuse here of, oh, because they're a smaller team, we can underestimate them and then go, oops. So I definitely think you shouldn't be underestimating anyone in this league, because anyone can beat anyone, and that is the Premier League these days.
Yeah, I would say that. We've been doing this 18 months, and I think I said when we were doing the 5-3-2, he just doesn't understand the Premier League, and I really do think that about Louis van Gaal. He doesn't. But the big thing for me about Van Gaal, before we move on to this Jose Mourinho rumours, is that he just comes across as bigger than the club, and I don't think anybody's bigger than Manchester United. They never should be, and from day one, he's always acted like that. He never takes any responsibility. He always throws people under the bus rather than himself, and I don't think they're very nice traits anyway. I think he'd be perfect, as I think Zara or Joey said, talking about Liverpool. He'd be a perfect Liverpool manager, Louis van Gaal, because he's always the victim, and it's never anybody else's fault. But talking about new managers, Jose Mourinho. Now, I will say this. I'm convinced, maybe part of it is just wishful thinking, that Jose Mourinho is a done deal to Manchester United in the summer. However, the same Mirror who said that Martial was a waste of money, came out last night with he's been snubbed for Van Gaal and Giggs. Well, Van Gaal for another year, then Giggs. Zara, I want your thoughts on that. I mean, what I would say is it wouldn't surprise me, because he's been left alone for a few weeks, but we do have the ineptitude of Ed Woodward in charge.
I wouldn't trust what the Mirror said at all, purely because of what they said about Martial. I mean, a lot of people say, oh, Martial didn't do that well and everything, but you can't just have obviously just him running for the ball. You've got to be able to just go head on and straight there. I mean, the Mirror shouldn't say that about, like, oh no, well, Mourinho's not coming now, because it probably is a done deal. I mean, there wouldn't be this much speculation. I mean, this is huge. Like, there's quotes and everything. In newspapers, if they have quotes, it means that it's come from an actual reliable source. Otherwise, they'll get sued for it. So somewhere along the line, a deal has been done that Mourinho is definitely coming. And if they've ended up saying that, oh no, well, there was a clause in the contract or something, and now Giggs is going to be manager, well, that's ridiculous. There's no experience there whatsoever to actually help us as a club. We'll get nowhere if Giggs just comes along. Like, I love Giggs as much as I love the rest of the class of '92, but I've said it before on other shows and things, that he's just not got experience, and we need Mourinho. We do. We need to. There was worry about, like, him wrecking the youth and everything, but we've seen LVG's going to wreck the whole entire squad. Never mind the youth. I mean, we've seen it today. They were just playing okay, and then now they looked like they were just having a game of five-a-side on a huge pitch, going, oh well, this is a huge space. What do we do now? We need Mourinho, and we just shouldn't listen to the Mirror, because they're just as ridiculous as all the rest of the guys saying that they want LVG in.
Yeah, Patrick Anderson and Bale's left foot both saying that Jose Mourinho's a done deal. A few people talking about Jose Mourinho will neglect the youth. I'm going to go to Joey now just to see what he thinks. I mean, hopefully, Joey, I know we need some positivity at the moment. I think this Jose Mourinho deal's done. Stuart Thames just made a good point. Would you sacrifice the youth to get United back to the top? I'll throw that to you, Joey, as well. Well, we'll go to you first, and then I'll have a little think so I can get the right answer.
I think with Jose Mourinho, we're not asking him. At least I'm not. I'm not asking him to, field a whole team of youngsters. I'm not asking him to even throw 3, 4, 5 in there. I want 1 or 2 consistently, maybe in the starting 11. Definitely on the bench. You have to have some on the bench. But I think that's very possible. I mean, he might not he may not play him as much as we had hoped to, but like you were saying earlier, if we don't, or Zara was saying, if we don't turn this around, we're going to turn into Liverpool. You're going to miss out on the Champions League again, which means that the players that you want to get, you're going to have to overspend and pay massive contracts to, and eventually it's just a clown show. So the next manager is very, very, very important to me. It has to be a home run. That's why the thought that it could be Giggs is absolutely if you're an investor and you're looking at it, why would you take that big of a? That's a huge risk. It's a massive risk to put someone who has the only experience they have is 4 games as manager and 3 years as an assistant to David Moyes and Louis van Gaal. So for me, it's just too big of a risk. It has to be Jose Mourinho because, one, the trophies, all that, everything. 2, he's a great manager. He gets the most out of players. Players go to war for him. Players throw their face in front of a ball for him. And the Premier League experience. He has the experience of the league. I think that when you're looking for a manager, that is massive in my opinion. But going on, we need top quality players around the team. It's Jesse Lingard. He's a squad player in my opinion. He's not an every game starter, and he has been for the last few months. It's not really his fault. Look, I think that he brings something to the table. I think he can be a great player off the bench when you need a player to do a job on the wing to track back and help out the fullback. There's certain youngsters in our squad that they're not good enough to be world-class starters. You look at them, Fosu Mensah. We don't know much about Rashford other than the 2 games. He scored 4 brilliant goals. Right place, right time, great finishing. But can he do that consistently? We don't know any of that yet. So I think, and Andres Pereira, who will we ever see him, or is this going to be another Paul Pogba situation? I think the youth needs a lot more investment than we think, and I think they're not as good as a lot of people think. I know that might piss people off, but that's just my opinion on it. So yeah, I think you need more quality players from around Europe, around the world, and a mixture of youth. You can't be all youth, and it can't be all signing players. And I think Jose Mourinho will realize that. I think that he's looking around. He's already managed in Italy, Spain. He's already managed all these top clubs. I mean, what other clubs left are there for him to manage besides Manchester United? A Bayern Munich. There's not many clubs left for him. I'm thinking he wants to build this legacy before he goes off into the national team and then retirement and things like that.
I think you've just raised a really good point there, Joey, about the youth. And I think we'll throw that in at the end as a comment because I want to get to Callum about his Jose Mourinho things. Because there's a lot of people out there, websites, other youth channels going, I know all about the youth, watch my video on the youth, this great player, this great player. And I think it's important that, we as the channel and the viewers as well are quite realistic. And I think Joey raises a really good point there. How good is our youth? And are we just buying into this rubbish, really? I also wanted to say a home run there's a game in America, for those people not from America, called baseball. In the UK, we call it rounders, and it's when they hit it out the edge. Joey's laughing there. But we'll go to Callum. I mean, Jose Mourinho, we are going to come back about the youth. And we've got our best 11 to cover as well, and his Carrick finished, and something else which I'll remember in a minute. But Callum, I want to go to you. Jose Mourinho. It doesn't have to be Jose Mourinho. You could shock me and say it should be Giggs, but you've not been on this show for a while, so give us your thoughts, mate.
I think I said it before. I said ages ago. I said Giggs isn't United quality yet. I mean, as much as I want to say class 92 and history and legacy and Sir Alex Ferguson, you need to be ready for this job. And we all thought at the start Louis van Gaal was ready for the job. We thought he was world class. We thought he was this. We thought he was that. Turns out he's not. He didn't have any Premier League experience. You look at someone like Jose Mourinho's resume. He's got character. He's got charisma, which I thought Van Gaal had, and we saw it against Arsenal, but we haven't seen it all season. So I think Jose Mourinho's got, as I was saying, character, charisma, ego, which can be a problem sometimes, but you do need some sort of ego. He's Premier League proven, as Joey said. He's won trophies. He's got the mental games. He was sort of like the Sir Alex Ferguson, not Sir Alex Ferguson, but he was the Sir Alex Ferguson's sort of devil in the Premier League, if you get what I mean. He was always the sort of second best to him or really close to him. I wouldn't mind Mario Pochettino. It sounds weird, but I like him as a manager. I like the fact that he brings through English talent. I like the fact that and it's not like he's bringing, not like Van Gaal, like he's just bringing through youth players because everyone else is injured and then saying, oh, I'm bringing through youth talent. Pochettino has legitimately brought through Kane, Dele Alli, Mason, even though he's not brilliant, but I think either Pochettino or Jose Mourinho. Jose Mourinho is obviously the obvious choice. He's Premier League proven, won all trophies and all that. So it's Jose Mourinho in, Louis van Gaal out for me.
I'm glad you said Pochettino because I said it about October time. I said Pochettino or Koeman, and a lot of people thought I was mad for saying it. And I would throw Koeman in there. Don't think either of them will get the job. But I watched Spurs yesterday. It's the first time I'd watched them in a few weeks. And the way they move around, the ball around, fantastic. And I think he's also mastered the Premier League. And Premier League proven is what Manchester United need, both as player and manager, this summer. We've messed around with your Di Marias and your Falcaos and your Van Gaals. We need Premier League proven. I keep saying it 100%. And what I'd also say about Jose Mourinho is we'll win the league in the next 2 years. That's what he does. That's what he brings to the table. So Kush just says, so was Pogba just a flash in the pan or the class of 92? Pure rubbish. I think he's talking about a youth thing, which we're all going to get onto in a minute. Raises a good point. We want to talk about the youth, so I'm going to whiz through all three of you very quickly about this. Is top four gone?
It's not like calculated that it's gone, but I'd say our hope's gone with top four, because the thing is now is that I feel like we made so much progress within that week period, and then now what's ended up happening is it's just been shattered because we've gone back to exactly how we used to be. I mean, these next few matches, that'll seriously show whether we've gone back to how we used to be. I mean, I still have a little bit of positivity left in me, which people are going to say is ridiculous. But that little bit of positivity saying I just want to see how we do against like Liverpool and things like that, and just see if something happens, and then we'll know for certain about top four. Because we can't really comment now, but at the moment I'd say there's a 50-50 chance of us getting it, and if not, we're just going to stay where we are and be Liverpool, like I said.
I think 50-50 is very generous. I mean, I said in January it was totally gone, and the tweet's up there on my @MarkGoldbridge account that I said I'll kiss every arse who retweets it if we do get top four, and my lips are safe because we're not getting top four. I even did a video I think at the weekend about whether we'll get top four. We've got 47 points. The maximum we can get is 74 if we win our next 9 games. We've got West Ham, City and Spurs away from home. I think we'll do well now to get 65 points, which is no way we're going to get top four. Louis van Gaal's win percentage in his time at United is around 50%. To get top four, it's got to go up to 80%. We've also got to play far better than we have for the last 18 months. I didn't buy into the fact that he beat Arsenal because Moyes did that. And who else did we beat? A pub team from Denmark and Shrewsbury. I think it was a false dawn. We fluked Watford. They should have beaten us as well. I don't think we got a bloody chance of top four. And I think reality does bite. But that's just my thoughts. Joey, you may say something totally different.
No, I completely agree. I think top four's gone. I've been saying it for about a week or two. Our best chance of getting into the Champions League is the Europa League, and even that is very, very tough. No, top four's gone for me. I think unless we play, Michelin and Arsenal for the next 9 games, every game, every other game, then there's no chance. I just think you see so many people tweet it today, 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. There's just no consistency, and to get top four now, you need a bit of consistency. You need to win the rest of your games. Because it's just you look at the other teams' schedules as well. I believe we have the hardest run-in. I mean, we have to play Everton. We have to play City at the Etihad. That's very, very tough. We have to play Everton. I said that already. Crystal Palace, I think. Leicester, Bournemouth, who already beat us. There's too many, and there's a few small teams in there that we seem to struggle with. So for me, top four has been gone, and it was just a huge mistake not to sack him because honestly, it's going to be tough to end the season with a trophy. What do you think are going to end? Best 6th, 5th, 6th, and quarterfinal set. It's going to be tough to beat West Ham next weekend. So, I don't even think we'll be able to get to Wembley in that. So if you look at it at the end of the season, this is what I'm looking at. I'm looking at a team that finished 6th with no progression under Louis van Gaal and no trophies. Why didn't you just sack him in December? See what Giggs had. You could have probably ended with the same, maybe a little bit better. And then you don't have to worry about taking that massive risk we talked about earlier. So, no, I'm completely with you. I agree. Top four is gone.
Yeah, evening, Tyler is one of our regulars, just come on the show. Anthony says, Zara is Mark, your boyfriend. I'm not some sort of pimp. When Anna was on the show, everyone thought I was married to her. She's just a female on the show. It happens. Deal with it. We're talking about Manchester United. But touching on what Joe was saying there, I think makes a valid point again, which is what we want on this show. Our last 9 fixtures are difficult. I wanted Louis van Gaal sacked at Christmas, and everyone was like, oh, and a lot of people did as well. They said he can't sack him at Christmas. I said we were going to be top at Christmas in the middle of November because we had 5 easy-ish fixtures: Watford away, Leicester away, and then Bournemouth, Norwich, and off the top of my head, maybe it was West Ham or something like that. We should have took 15 points. We could have been top at Christmas. We wasted our easier fixtures, is my point. That's why I knew we were never going to get top 4 in January. That's why I knew we should have been sacked. When people back people, I don't mind that, but I sort of annoys me when people don't do their research and think, oh, we're playing really well, we're going to beat everybody. We're not going to go to West Ham and win. We're not going to go to Spurs and win. These are decent sides. And as I come to Callum and his thoughts of whether we can get top 4, I tell you what, we're not bitter fans either. Yesterday I tweeted it out. Full respect to West Ham, 2-0 down to Everton away from home. They come and win 3-2 playing exciting football. Full respect to Spurs and Arsenal. That was a really entertaining North London derby. Full respect to Leicester going away and beating a decent side in Watford 1-0. All I find I'm doing at the moment this season, Callum, is watching other clubs and applauding them for playing good football and praying that we will, and we just don't see it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's part of the Louis van Gaal philosophy. His philosophy is sideways passing, break the teams down, shift it left to right. And that doesn't work. It's not entertaining. You watch football to be entertained. You watch football to seek the unknown sort of thing. So going on to it, I think that we are, as United fans in the last couple of seasons, and under Moyes, to be fair, we played attacking football, but it just didn't work out. But with Van Gaal, it's this philosophy which is so how would you say, it's so original and so simplistic that it's not built to be exciting. Going on to the top 4, I think that every defeat feels like a mentality change if we're not going to get top 4. I mean, we come off a couple of good wins. Every time, I find this as well, I've said it before, I find that every time we lose and Van Gaal gets a massive backlash from all the fans, he always comes out and plays, lets the players play expressive football. I mean, we saw it when we lost to Midtjylland. They come back and they played expressive football. Against the top teams, I'm not as worried going to the top teams because I mean we have a really good record against the top teams. We haven't lost. I don't think we've lost against anyone in the top 6 this season. I might be wrong on that, but we've got a really good record against the top 6. It's the smaller clubs that I'm actually worried about. It's the Bournemouths and the Norwiches because as I said earlier, Van Gaal underestimates them and then they completely exploit us and they break down our football so easily, making us look ordinary, which is completely not Manchester United. So if we are going to get top 4, and I want to, at this point in time, I'm like, no, I don't think we're going to get top 4. But it's a case of just having that animosity and that sort of energy if we get a couple of wins and then thinking about top 4. But it looks like it's going to go. But as we know, the Premier League, anyone can beat anyone. So it's in the balance, I'd say.
Yeah, and we've still got so much to get through, so I'll just very quickly say we're not getting top 4. Right, next one. I want to whiz through this one very quickly because it's important to me. A lot of people giving Carrick and Darmian a lot of stick from the game today. Personally, my thoughts are absolute nonsense, but people don't understand football. But go to you, Zara, first. What was your thoughts on Carrick and Darmian? I know Alex especially was furious that Varela didn't start at right back. I did want Darmian to play.
I think Varela should have played, mainly because he's been in such good form, and I thought just whilst he's in form, just put him out there, just go for it, and then see how we'll end up. I'd say when it comes to Carrick, like you were saying, I think the thing is with Carrick, I find that he slows down the pace, and today I just think that we needed to just go for it. We didn't need to slow down, keep passing back and forth. We should have just went for it, passed out to like Martial, straight forward to Rashford, and then just kept giving it a shot because we only had one shot on target and it went straight to the keeper. I mean, look, LVG is probably rubbing his hands with it, saying, "Oh yeah, well we had more possession though, and that's all that matters." But there's just no point in actually playing football if you're not creating the chances and finishing them. And the thing is, when people keep saying about, oh well, Carrick was terrible and Darmian was terrible, well, maybe it's just because there's nothing else to do. If the whole lot of the players are not given any chances at all, then not just one person on that pitch is going to change every single player's mind on how they perform, and that's just going to be how it's going to end up for every single match that we're going to have to do if we keep being in this frame of mind.
Yeah, fair play, and you did oppose me, so that's respect. Big up. Memphis Dare to 7. I haven't seen him commenting for a while. Says how we're doing, bitches and bros. And Lewis Smith says Carrick was shocking, you knob. Straight to the point. What I would say, as I come to Joey, is people don't understand Carrick. He's like Marmite, and at the end of the day, it's not his job to make sure we have shots. And at the end of the day, Michael Carrick dictates the tempo of our side, and same way Pirlo did for the teams he played for in Italy. So I don't think, Carrick at least tries to play a forward pass. He's just come back from injury, and West Brom don't win that game if Daley Blind marks his man. And I found Darmian. I wanted Darmian. I did the preview if you want to watch it. I wanted Darmian to start. I wanted an experienced back four, which is what we have, and I thought the back four did well, apart from Daley Blind, who fell asleep on the goal. But I'll go to you, Joey.
Yeah, I think Carrick's main job in there is to shield the back four, like you said, dictate the tempo, keep the ball moving. I think too often we see the team when they get into the final third, it's just too static, too stale. There's not enough runners off the ball. There's not enough movement. I don't know if that's coming from the manager saying get the ball out wide, cross it into our one center forward who's not, he's good in the air, but he's not, he's not Peter Crouch, which we might as well have signed him. I mean, I wanted to bring this up. How many times that it seems when we have the ball in the final third, we just put it out wide and put an aimless cross in. It's like that game under Moyes. I think it was against Stoke. But no, Carrick today, if you wanted to rest Blind, you could have played Carrick in the back four, unless he was have to have a left foot, right foot combination hard on. Could have played Carrick in the back four, or even rested him, because Schneiderlin was playing so well, I thought. Schneiderlin does the same thing Carrick does. He's a little bit more mobile, a little bit tougher of a tackler. But I think, at the end of the day, fans, we want to see exciting attacking football, and we look at this game today. It was not the best game to judge players on. I think it was a combination of just maybe a lack of motivation. Maybe some players are tired, not inspired by their manager, and it was just really flat. I don't think you can judge one. People want to look at Darmian's performance today and call him shit. He hasn't lived up to my standards for him because I know him. I've seen him play for Italy prior to joining United. I've seen him play for Torino. I know he's capable of much more. We saw that in the beginning of the year, but I think he's coming back from a separated shoulder. He's still adjusting to the Premier League, the speed of it, and all that, and adjusting to a new team that's going to be in transition again. So I think it's unfair to judge Darmian after this performance and after this season. Some fans just want to give players 3-4 months, see how they do, and then ship them out. And it's just a revolving door. It's even with the strikers, with Van Persie, with Rooney even. We don't create enough chances for them to score a lot of goals or score any goals. And when we don't do that, they go, oh, well, we need to get another center forward and a world-class center forward. And they just think that buying a better striker is just going to solve the problem. It'll help, but it's not going to solve the problem. Go out, buy a better right back, and they're going to think all of a sudden, that problem's solved. It needs to be some consistency, some continuity. You have to take time. Things take time to build a team. But we're going to be in transition again with the new manager. However, it's going to be the right manager this time who's going to be able to do what he's, you look at some of the players under this current team, and you think, they look really good in Jose Mourinho's side. Schneiderlin next to a Herrera, that looks like, reminds me of almost a Fabregas Matic. Darmian reminds me of, maybe he's not as forward-thinking as Ivanovic, but there's certain players in the squad going forward I'm very excited about. So it's not all doom and gloom, especially when Jose comes in and steers the ship in the right direction.
Yeah, there's a lot of comments whizzing through on the live comment section there. Callum, I'm just going to give you a new topic because I know you're getting third time every time, Liverpool in a minute. But a lot of comments coming in there saying Carrick and Darmian had a shocker. I mean, I do sometimes wonder what game you're watching. We had 10 men. We lost 1-0 because of a mistake by Blind. I counted at least 6 occasions when Darmian was one-on-one with either Rondon or Sessegnon, and he tackled them. Varella's strength is going forward. Even against Watford the other day, he got done 3 or 4 times by Capote or Capoue or whatever his name is. So I don't know what you're expecting. Varela,
isn't that just the culture though, Mark? Like if it's like the FIFA culture now too. Like if you're not doing 30 step overs and running through 6 players, doing all these 5-star skill moves and slam the ball into the top corner of the net, you're shit or you're not good enough. Not every player can do that. We don't need Darmian to do that. We need him to stay solid defensively. That's the first job of a fullback, to defend. I think we forget about that. You're supposed to be able to defend, and then going forward is almost a second trait. And even then, going forward, we just want you to get down, put some good quality crosses in. Not all the time. We don't want you crossing the ball all the time. We don't want you, caught up the pitch in the box, losing the ball. So I think that's the culture nowadays. Is it, and same thing with Michael Carrick. If you're not, scoring 10, 15 goals from central midfield, you're shit, and you're not good enough. You're past it. All I want Michael Carrick to do is dictate the tempo, keep the ball moving, and shield the back four. That's all I want him to do. I don't need him to score 30-yard screamers.
Exactly, and one of my sayings is no Carrick, no party, and I will stand by that. But you're right. I mean, Varela is good going forward, but he's no Cafu. If we played today, he wasn't going to go running up the right wing like bloody Cafu and score 4 or 5 goals. And he's not a youth player as well. Alex loves him. Alex, the bloke who puts a name on the back of his shirt and they go shit. But Varela's not a youth player. He's 22. He's 23 in 2 weeks. He's not a youth player. Defensively, he's still got a lot to learn, but we go down this, Varela should play. And Varela admitted himself he was really tired as well. But the one reason, and I did want Darmian to play, the one reason Darmian played, and I will defend those who wanted Varela on this, Darmian played because he's tall. It's the same reason Fellaini plays every week, because he's tall. Because Van Gaal wants to deal with the opposition defensively rather than do what United should do and not concern themselves of what's going on, what Manchester United should do. And as for Carrick, I would just say, if you watch my preview, I wanted Schneiderlin and Herrera to play, as much as I love Carrick. So, but I agree with Joey. Carrick's job is to do something that he does very, very well. His positional sense is the best midfielder in the country, and I will always say that. So if you want to slag your own players off, that's fine. But Callum, Liverpool coming up, I think we're going to win. How does that sound?
Yeah, I'm always slightly confident going into Liverpool, because I mean, as bad as Van Gaal's been as a manager, he hasn't lost against Liverpool yet. So he's got that one in the bank. I'm not saying he's got it in the bank, but he's got the record against Liverpool in the bank. I think that going into it Thursday, I do hope that today's lineup wasn't an indication of him trying to rest players for Liverpool, because I mean, 4 players. Resting players for a game 4 days away, they can rest for 4 days. I mean, but I think that going into the Liverpool game, Liverpool have literally just come off of a very good win, coming back from 10 men down. Benteke taking a little tumble, maybe a little bit of a dive over there to win the game. But I think Liverpool, I think there's a fear factor when Liverpool play us under Van Gaal. I don't know, they must just get bored to death and we beat them somehow. But every time we beat them, so I'm confident. I'm very confident going into the Liverpool game. As long as we can go forward, and even if we're away from home, not be fearful of this sort of crowd animosity and the sort of atmosphere, and just go at them. Because Liverpool are scared when you go at them, and every time we've played them, we've gone at them, and they've just curled up into a shell, and we've beaten them 3-1, 3-0, whatever the score was. You know what I mean?
No, I think we'll beat them. I think we'll be back here next Sunday and the Sunday after, with everyone saying let Louis van Gaal in again. I don't think it changes anything. I think if we lose to them, he should be finished anyway, but he's 100% gone. But I do think we'll beat them. But I think the main thing is at Anfield is that we don't get turned over 2 or 3-0. We've just got to keep them within distance, and we'll do them at Old Trafford. I firmly believe that. But I wanted to give Callum some exclusivity there, so he's done the Liverpool thing. It wasn't even a topic. Right, now, what I want to do now is, and you can all unmute as we go through this, because I think this is quite a good thing, and I'm interested to see where we get here. Let's pretend everybody in the Manchester United squad is fit, including Luke Shaw, so that's left back done. I'm going to go through what our best 11 is. Obviously, I'm going to shout a name out, and if anybody disagrees, do shout in. Okay, right. So obviously in goal, David De Gea. What was that? Zara? Romero?
No way, Romero. No way at all. No, like seriously, no, you just can't trust him.
Okay, so De Gea's in goal. Okay, right. We'll go right back. Now, this is interesting. I would go Darmian.
I haven't seen enough of Varela, but I would have gone with Varela if I've seen more of him this season. But I'd have to stick with Darmian just for the fact of he had a solid first half of the season.
Anyone else going? Anyone different than Darmian? No, Joey's definitely Darmian. Zara's staying quiet. I think it was Bale's left foot said Valencia. Yeah, he said Valencia. Loads of people saying Varela. James Sachs, Sid Ali United, Sam Thomas. Abu says Darmian not good. English not good.
I think Varela. I think so. I think we've seen this potential, and he's not reached his peak yet. I don't think.
Okay. Left back Luke Shaw. Anyone any problems with that? No. Okay. Centre backs. This is interesting. Obviously, Chris Smalling. I don't think anyone's going to disagree with that. The other centre back. I hadn't thought this through. I would go with Phil Jones now, wouldn't I? Would go. This is the problem. We didn't buy a centre back last summer. This is the big problem.
The summer before.
Yeah, exactly. I could say Fuzu Mensah, but that would be really stupid because he's only had one game. I really do like the look of him. He's 18. You can't say that. So I probably would say Rojo.
Yeah.
I'm going Phil Jones.
Okay.
Or Calamity Jones.
Is that official?
You got to look at their records together when he plays with Smalling. I mean, I know he's not on the pitch a lot, but we said fully fit, and when those two are fully fit, they win. We win more games than we lose, a lot more.
Carlo Capello says Benicia. I don't think he's getting the concept of this game. And a few saying Cam Neville. Chaju Khan says Rojo. Ahmed says Fosu Mensah. Yeah, I understand Phil Jones. He's just never fit. Zara, you're not going to shout up?
Yeah, but then like on the other hand, like with Rojo as well. Although I know he was injured and he's fit now, but I don't think he's still ready to be back on that pitch. He doesn't seem confident when he's kicking the ball. I mean,
I agree with that too, and I think today we're looking at Blind at that goal, but I'm also looking at Rojo. He kind of goes to step towards towards Rondon, and he pulls out of it. I mean, even if you can't get there, maybe you throw him off a little bit. You never know, and that's just I think Zara's right with his health, and I think a little bit of confidence. I think for me, yeah, Phil Jones' record.
I think Rojo just got his confidence completely knocked when he got injured, and that was the big reason to it. And like today, it just was a pure example of that. You've seen Blind just move away slowly, and Rojo was in that position where he's seen it happen. He's seen Blind move away, and he could have got there in time, possibly. Like we'll never know, but he's seen the whole situation, and he should have analysed it a lot better.
Ahmed says Blind is a twat. I think that's the problem. That is the problem, is that we all know we need another centre-back. So, Rojo, Jones, I can see the argument there. Okay, midfield's going to be fun. We'll start off with the fact that we're probably playing two holding midfielders, because that's what we do. I would go for the two. It's so difficult this is. I would go Schneiderlin, definitely. I think he needs a run of games, and I think that's been the problem this season. And I would go... I've always said Schweinsteiger is better than Carrick as much as I love him, so I would go Schweinsteiger and Schneiderlin. Anyone disagree?
I'd say I agree with that, mainly because Carrick really slows down the play.
We've not seen the best of Schweinsteiger, definitely, though. Yeah. Or Schneiderlin.
I'd probably drop Herrera in there just for the fact of
I'm gonna go. Yeah. I'm gonna go Schneiderlin, Herrera, because I think they complement each other well. I think they play off each other's strengths, and I think with Schweinsteiger we haven't seen the best of him, and I think too many injuries have caught up to him.
Yeah, I'm happy to go Schneiderlin and Herrera. I'm not going to argue with that, so we'll go that then. Okay, so we'd have to put a number 10 in. Should we do number 10 yet? 10 now. I think it's quite easy. It's definitely Fellaini. We move on to the right wing. Number 10. I tell you what, I'm going to go Wayne Rooney.
So am I.
I think again we're struggling to say Rooney, but I think Mata. You know what? People were. I was going to say something rude then, Zara. People were knocking one out. Was what I was going to say. Oh, I might as well say it now. But Mata on Wednesday, and he did nothing. But he did. I said it today when we had a free kick on the edge of the box and he'd been sent off. I said free kick on the edge of the box. Step up when Mata. He's obviously been sent off. That is what Mata should do. He's brilliant on the edge of the edge of the box. He scored as the goal against Watford. But I will stand by it that he may well have just cost the top four and given Jose Mourinho the job today, who will get rid of him. But as much as Rooney, I think, James Sachs says Rooney is a fraud. Again, I think it's a bit like that left centre-back position. I think the best we've got is Rooney. I'd love... Ramon says Pereira. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's like Fosu Mensah. We cannot give it to Pereira as much as I love him because he's not been played enough. I think Pereira's got the potential, but I think Rooney. Anyone disagree?
No, and if anything, and I was thinking about, I would put Herrera before Mata at number 10.
Yeah, I liked Herrera at number 10. I did.
I think I think that would work well with Herrera. I think that worked well against Newcastle, even though we did lose, that we drew. Sorry, I think that did work well with Herrera at 10 and Schweinsteiger and Schneider in the middle. I think them three, they kind of, like as you said, they complement each other very well.
Yeah.
I'd go with that three as a midfield.
Well, I'm happy to go Schweinsteiger, Schneider, and Herrera if everybody else is.
Well, they were the perfect three at the start, weren't they? They were the three. Like if you said Man United midfield, that's the strength of midfield that we had. So,
well, Everton away was Herrera at number 10.
Yeah, he had that assist, the first goal.
Yeah.
I think it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
good point.
we're talking about. I mean, they're talking about our best 11 for the squad, and I think there's some quality need to be added to it. I mean, we're sitting here saying certain players and we're struggling to find a center back. We're thinking about midfield and it's just in the number 10 role especially. I think some serious additions need to be made, and then even then we don't have that quality and depth either. So I think it's going to be a very interesting summer ahead for whoever is going to be the manager, and it's scary because you're going to have Ed Woodward in there just throwing ridiculous bids for big names.
And the problem with that as well is that Ed Woodward going for big names actually declines the status of the club. You know what I mean? Because he's going for all these big names and he's putting all this big money. Like we're going to get Neymar, we're going to get Gareth Bale, and they don't come. It just shows that Manchester United not is a club in decline, but people are saying, listen, you're not who you used to be. Like they're turning us away, and it just shows the decline under Ed Woodward and Van Gaal and Moyes of the club.
And it shows the rise of Spanish football over the last decade. How much even Real Madrid was doing it 10 plus years ago, but Spanish football is just even Atletico. I mean, they have Griezmann and some decent players, but you can already see who he's going to throw money at. He's going to throw money at James this summer. Gareth Bale.
Yeah, but they're definitely not going to want to come to United. Not with the state it's in. Like they'd have to be insane to want to come to us.
No, because you have to look at what you can offer. You're offering shitty weather, no Champions League football, and if Van Gaal or Ryan Giggs is the manager, you're not getting trophies. So it's tough. It has to be Jose. Because he alone can bring players in. But yeah, moving on. What's left?
Left midfield, Memphis.
For me, I think like the dream is having. I think it just worked perfectly. Is on the left having Memphis, on the right you've got Rashford, and then up front you've got Martial. Mainly because I noticed at the Watford match, I noticed that in the second half Rashford got put onto the right, and I just thought you could see Rashford. He sort of felt more comfortable there, and so did Martial, and they were working off each other. And I just thought that glimpse of that. I just thought that could progress into something really special if that keeps going on. But once again, LVG experimented with it for 45 minutes and never wanted to do it again.
For me, right wing is probably one of our biggest transfer targets, to be honest.
Yeah, well, Lewis Smith has probably come up with a comment of the night here, and he says Ashley Young right midfield, because I was going to say...
God damn him, I was going to say Ashley Young too.
Yeah, I've forgotten about him, to be honest, and Lewis is spot on, because, Lingard's a squad player. I said it today, when you go down to 10 men, you need 10 men on the pitch. You don't need 9 men and a 10-year-old girl playing. No offence to 10-year-old girls, but Adam Johnson. But Ashley Young, he's a fantastic player for Manchester United. He's been wasted at right back. So my three. I know what Zara's just said about Rashford. I think Rashford was found out today. He's an 18-year-old lad, and it's too much too soon. I wanted him to be rested against Watford, but we had too many injuries. You can't expect him to be this great player. He needs to come on the last half an hour and stuff, and we need to build him up. But my three would be Memphis, because I just think he needs a run of games, and I was appalled today he got dropped. And Memphis on the left, Ashley Young on the right, Martial up front. Although I do like Martial on the left because he's got more space to turn his man. I'm sure there will be differences.
I think, given form in 2016, I'd put Rooney up top, Herrera in 10, Martial on the right and Memphis on the wing, or either otherwise. Yeah.
If Rooney was good, that would be a decent signing. Yeah, that would be good.
Just depends on what game. Just depends on the opposition. But yeah, for me, Ashley Young on the right, because his crossing, he's probably one of the best crossers of the ball, if not the best crosser of the ball at this team. And we see Van Gaal, that's all he wants to do. Memphis, best young talent in Europe before he came to us. And Martial's got it all. You know, he's got good hold-up play, decent in the air, great footwork, eye for goal. Martial's going to, you know, if anything, the best thing that LVG did was sign Martial.
Yeah, and he didn't even sign him. It was Giggs. Lou Van Gaal wasn't sure on him, apparently. So a few people are saying here Ashley Young's injured. We're fully aware of that. This is our best ever. This is our best 11 that we've got at the moment. I think straight away we've highlighted the fact that we need a striker, a right midfielder, and a centre-back. Every fan has identified that for the last 18 months. Unfortunately, the club hasn't. But I think we've more or less agreed there might be some deviance from this, but I think we would go with De Gea in goal, obviously. Darmian, a couple of people wanted Varela at right back. Smalling and Rojo or Jones. Shaw Luke left back. Schneiderlin and Schweinsteiger with Herrera at 10. Memphis to the left. Ashley Young to the right, Martial up front. No place for Rooney. But Callum did want Rooney, but I don't think Rooney's capable of getting back to the form we would like him to.
Rooney's passion is just completely gone. I mean,
Well, that's a good point, Vera. What am I on about? That's a good point, Zara, because I just don't think there is any fight in Louis van Gaal. He's one of these managers who likes his players to respect the referee. He doesn't like confrontation. Again, I think that is totally underestimating what the Premier League's like, and I think we do lack fight, and I think Rooney's unrecognisable because he's always been a player who played on the edge. But
yeah.
I just think looking at that squad, we named this best starting 11. Should we be surprised that we're in 5th with a manager like Louis van Gaal? Or we're in 6th, excuse me, out of the Champions League of an easy group. You look at that squad, and for me, there's just so many holes. You know, we named our best starting 11 when, you know, Ashley Young probably should be a player coming off the bench. You know, there's a center back missing. Martial's an unproven kid in a whole new league. And Memphis, same thing, you know, a whole new league. You need proven players. And I think looking at that squad, I said in the summer, I'm not really surprised that we're in the situation that we're in right now. I'm not surprised at all because I think we gave up, you know, our hopes of winning the title this year in the summer when we didn't sign the players that we needed to sign.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think we are in a mess, and that's probably where we are. Okay, we've just about hit the end of the show. I did want to touch on the youth, but I don't like to go on beyond an hour, so we won't. We'll probably do that future in probably next Sunday when we're at the FA Cup. It is West Ham next Sunday, I think that's right. Obviously, it's Liverpool on Thursday at Anfield, their biggest game in years. United going to Anfield in Europe, the first time we've ever played them in Europe. So it's a big week. It's hard to be positive because top 4 is gone, but we will have a preview up later in the week for that. And I just want to say thanks, Callum, for coming on. Not had you on the Sunday show for a while.
No problem. Pleasure to be back.
Thanks to Zara.
Thank you.
And thanks to Joey.
See you later.
And thanks to all of you lot for watching. I think we were touching around 400 tonight, so if you can just tick and give us a like, that always helps. And obviously subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It's free, and loads to talk about Manchester United. All I can say is the only thing that keeps me sane is all of you lot and the fans, because if we didn't have these conversations, I think I would be slipping off the beachy head, so to speak. But we are out. The top 4's gone. We're still in the Europa Cup. We've got Liverpool on Thursday. The shine's been taken off a bit, but Louis van Gaal is still the manager of Manchester United. Hopefully we'll have Jose Mourinho in the summer, and hopefully we'll make some changes. I think that was really interesting at the end there to do our best 11 when we clearly don't have a left centre-back, we clearly don't have a right midfielder, and we clearly don't really have a striker. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. But that's Manchester United at the moment. As I said at the start, a balance sheet, not a football club. Thanks for watching. Speak to you all later.